evening, everyone. Welcome back to Discordant Dragons. This is the 211th stream of this lovely series. Tonight, I have some wonderful friends, some old friends with us tonight, and we are still waiting on one of our guests to arrive. That's why I drug my feet starting the stream. Excuse me. But good news is, despite being around lots of sick people and hospitals recently, my health is still holding up, knock on wood. Thank you for your prayers for my family and myself. So things are going ahead on schedule, and I don't foresee any interruptions due to the complicated health and family stuff I've been dealing with. So with that being said, we have a bit of a late start, so let's go ahead and get things fired up. Let's pull on the featured guest of the evening, Mr. RedHawk of the Old Glory Club. Welcome, my friend.
Good to be back. Yes, that intro just goes so hard. I love it.
I love it too. Lomax Designs did a great job. I'm very thankful that he created that for me. It's wonderful. And we do not have Politicrat yet. I have just checked my messages and I have nothing from him, although he did respond earlier today. So I assume he knows he's supposed to be here on time. If we have Politicrat like we are supposed to, that would be great. If not, well, we'll live without him because we have my two good co-hosts, Mr. Newsfist and Mr. 3 of 12. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, how's everyone going? Always a pleasure, Yes.
Thank you, Simon. Yes. Thank you.
And my voice is recovered to some degree, so it shouldn't sound like I've been chain smoking for 30 years.
Yeah, you definitely sound better than you did the last couple times I talked to you. I can tell you're getting better. All right. Well, tonight, since I thought I was going to have two OGC dudes, and especially Mr. RedHawk, I pulled out my best dragons. I put on my thinking hat. I created some wonderful topics, and I fished around through dozens and dozens of news stories to isolate the ones that I thought would be the most fun for us to discuss tonight. And they will be as follows. Let's go ahead and pull up the branding. And I would like to remind everyone before we get started, I don't like to work for free. Neither do you. During the course of the stream, I will be accepting payments, donations, paid chats, super chats, rants on Rumble, hyper chats on Odyssey, etc., etc. Please send those in via Entropy if you can, and if Entropy works today, knock on wood. If you can't, you can use PayPal and Cash App. You can send in tips on Subscribestar, rants on Rumble, and hyper chats on Odyssey. And if you like the work I do and want to help my life be more secure, please consider signing up to be a monthly financial supporter of mine on Subscribestar. I have many different tiers there, even $1 a month if you just want to help me keep the lights on. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started tonight. And I'll bring up the topics now. The Red Dragon has Super Soldier Psyop. The Green Dragon has Hey Man Good Shot, which is, of course, a play on Hey Man Nice Shot, the filter song from the 90s. Bonus points to anybody on the panel who knows what album that was. Anybody know the name of that album from 95?
No, I can't.
I'm not a music guy.
I like that.
I know it was Filter, but I don't know the name of the album.
The album was Short Bus.
This is starting to feel like UO.
All right. Well, regardless, that's Hey Man Good Shot with the Green Dragon. The Black Dragon has The Usual Suspects. The White Dragon has Meet the Monsters. And the Blue Dragon has Freedom.com. Since RedHawk is awesome and cooler than the other two people on the panel, he gets to be the party leader tonight. And what does that mean exactly? That means that he gets to choose the dragon that we face next, or he can have a party member make that choice, and whoever chooses the dragon is the first one who has to answer the dragon's question when I read it after we take a look at the article. So, Mr. RedHawk, what will be first, sir?
All right, Newsfist and 3 of 12 get mogged, guys. I'm gonna charge. I'm gonna charge into the fray here, and we're gonna go with freedom.com.
Oh boy, okay, freedom.com. Now, this actually takes us outside of the United States, and we will be heading over to read a little something that's going on in Italy, even though it has to do with an American company. So let's look at this. Cloudflare versus Italy, the battle for digital freedom and global internet sovereignty. Italian authorities are attempting to force the internet service provider Cloudflare to delete and block certain online services. Cloudflare is resisting and has turned to the U.S. government for support. The fight for a free internet is intensifying. The struggle over control of information, censorship, and economic dominance in the digital space is increasingly becoming a fundamental civilizational question that the European Union now sees not only the EU Commission, but also national governments and security apparati siding with information diktats against the fundamental principle of free speech sends a dangerous signal to the world. The EU has effectively withdrawn from the circle of freedom-oriented state actors. Into this picture fits a recent report from Italy, a tweet by the founder and CEO of the internet infrastructure provider Cloudflare, Matthew Prince. He says that yesterday, judicial body in Italy fined Cloudflare 17 million for failing to go along with their scheme to censor the internet. The scheme, which even the EU has called concerning, required us within a mere 30 minutes of notification to fully censor many sites from the internet. And he goes on to talk about more particulars there that we can skip. Prince reports that, okay, we just read that, a cabal of regulators and media corporations. Specifically, this concerns a system controlled by the Italian Media Authority, AGCOM, called the Piracy Shield. This blocking system is officially aimed at combating illegal sports and media streaming services. The main targets are the economic interests of players such as Italy's Serie A Football League, Sky Italia, DAZN, and others, and other large European media and rights corporations. Private actors comparable to the so-called trusted flaggers, now familiar in Germany, operate on behalf of the Italian media sector within this system. They report websites, IP addresses, or suspicious domains to the Piracy Shield. The authority then compels internet service providers and infrastructure operators like Cloudflare to implement the corresponding blocks within just 30 minutes. Every advertising minute counts. Piracy is indeed a dangerously significant economic factor. The question is, how do states and affected companies enforce copyright? Do they operate under the rule of law and avoid collateral damage, such as backdoor state censorship? According to Prince, all of this happens without a judicial order or prior review, bypassing due legal process entirely. The measures affect not only alleged illegal content, but also deeply intrude to the technical infrastructure of the internet. Because what this means is, if a service that offers internet services outside of one country is told to shut something down and block it within just 30 minutes, there isn't a fast or easy way to do that without turning it off for everyone. And on top of that, there's the moral question of should they even be required to do that? That's basically the gist of the article. So I'll skip reading the other 10 or 12 paragraphs there for sake of time, and we will go ahead and move to the blue dragon, which is the cute little dragon here. The Blue with us tonight works in arcane technology for one of the Empire's premier institutes for fusing arcane magic with modern devices. She chose this story tonight because Earth handles its digital rights and laws much differently from the Dragon Empire. So she is curious how we feel about these so-called internet rights. And the question comes to Mr. RedHawk first. What is internet freedom to you? And how important do you think it is for the well-being of Western civilization?
Well, there's a lot of parts to this question because, I mean, I suppose we have to tackle with, do we think the West, that the internet is good for Western civilization to begin with? There's definitely been a lot of good things that come from the internet, but no shortage of horrible and bad things.
Like dating apps and porn.
Yeah. More, I mean, just think about how much like more accessible usury is, than any time in history because of something like the internet, But I mean, I think with many things, this is just going to be there's going to be people who can handle it and people who can't, right? And my hope is that we have people in the future who are doing a better job of looking out for those that they are responsible for to navigate them and actually become like stewards of this thing like the internet that we're all going to have to live with and deal with. Mm-hmm. But I mean, as it relates to right now, I'll take the question in 2025. Yeah, it's extremely important for us to have free speech on the internet because it's one of the best tools that we have to actually fight the regime that we're all stuck with right now. I mean, I think it's obvious for anyone who's been paying attention since 2016 and a little bit even beyond that. We have been able to punch way above our weight with things like meme culture, with like the whole like podcast sphere that all of us are familiar with. Twitter itself as a way for injecting like new political theory and discourse into the zeitgeist as a whole. So it is extremely important for us to maintain both internet freedom and internet anonymity for the time being. In the future, this might be something we're going to have to tackle with at some point. But for now, especially in an age of censorship and where everybody is clamoring to crack down on everyone, even like something like an internet bill of rights might actually be a good idea in the future. It's like, oh, you can't be debanked. You can't be just haphazardly banned from like all services in the entire world.
There should be a law against digital zeroing someone, because that basically destroys a person's livelihood and career now.
Yeah, I mean, they just outsource all of the stuff that they would normally do from the States to the corporations, which are basically the state, you know? I mean, is Google any functionally like different than the United States government? I mean, not really. Let's be real.
No. It's a big, evil technocratic bureaucracy that fucks you over. It's very similar.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well,
you're going through.
Yeah, actually, I have something to say about this, because something similar is going on in Spain attached to this question. And I think it also adds that they don't have internet freedom either, because they simply don't have access to it on a regular basis. So something that Spain is pretty much the biggest backwater of Europe somehow, even though it has to compete with Eastern Europe, because apparently La Liga has somehow I don't understand the relationship yet, but they've somehow have either petitioned or bribed the judiciary in Spain that basically the entirety of all of Cloudflare's IPs are blocked in Spain whenever a La Liga football match is on TV, as their way of stopping piracy. So that basically, even if there was a website around, it would probably be hosted by Cloudflare and therefore would be blocked. And of course, Cloudflare is just absolutely confused by it, just as confused by this as the Italian thing, because basically, the judiciary just told them to get fucked.
Okay.
Absolutely insane. So they can't. So basically, half the internet is down in Spain. Pretty much every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Whenever there's a match on TV, and La Liga has a monopoly. So they just don't have internet freedom by lack of access. They just don't get to choose when they have access. And the well-being, and I think this really gets to the second part of the question, the well-being for Western civilization. They are simply cut out of the modern world. You never hear anything about Spain. There's never any huge discoveries in Spain. There's never any huge scientific research in Spain. You never meet anybody from Spain on the internet.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know what? Come to think of it, you're right. I don't think I've ever met someone from Spain on social media or 4chan or anything that I'm aware of.
They are cut off from the world. They are probably the most modern and developed backwater that we have in Europe.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And because of that, it actually kind of became the only real upside of that is that it maintains them as a sort of Europe's your vacation spot. It's very cheap to go vacation in Spain.
Okay, interesting. Anything else before we move to Newsfist?
I would say that the real definition of internet freedom is simply the ability to actually do the sort of utopian things that you would expect humans to do when they have no when they're not held back by physical depravity. The amount of art, culture, memes, scientific discovery that is unattached from money and grants and governments is just enormous. It had it completely changed the way that the world functioned in the late 90s. And since then, it's been the major force for fighting, globalism, tyrannical governments. I mean, just the fact that Starlink getting introduced into war zones or governments that have internet shutdowns basically can allow them to coordinate and to just continue to overthrow the government, because you only need 2 to 5% of a population to overthrow. Without the internet, the Iranian overthrow just could have never happened. And I think the regime couldn't have possibly imagined that having so much power in 1979. It's blindsided so many governments, including, the current police state that is the UK. It's going to be the end of every tyrannical government in the future.
It hasn't blindsided them, Sri. They were the ones that used it in the first place. What do you think the Arab Spring was about? The delusion was that these tactics that they used on other countries couldn't be used upon the West because, I don't know, a freedom, a democracy. And now, of course, they're panicking. I think also because now that a lot of these governments, the UK is a really good example of this, have broken really like most feedback chains from like the actual population in terms of actually dealing with grievances from the majority white population. They don't want to have to solve any of the real problems. So like mass immigration would be it's probably the central issue about everything to do with this. Okay. They don't want to solve the problem. Therefore, they once again convince themselves that the problem is not the problem. It's people talking about it, which is the problem, which in an extent is basically true, because the political class don't have to deal with the problem. They all live in gated communities. Therefore, their principal concern is how it will affect their reputation, public image, and electoral chances. So therefore, from their point of view, it is talking about it actually that is the problem, and they are content to go into sweet racial death, in, I don't know, comparison for past sins. I mean, okay, so but to go to the question, what internet freedom means with me. Okay, I think I don't like this, but I think it is basically a truism that we are going to have some kind of internet ID unless you ban all porn, or so you're in this situation where option number one, you have some kind of identifier on the internet, and you allow spicy opinions and porn and chick-lit and all the other kind of like degenerate stuff in the human soul. I guess you can try and go for a purge on that.
What's chick-lit? What's that?
Oh, it's
do not research.
Okay. I'm sorry I asked. Go on.
That really popular novel recently aimed at women. A college student, gets into debt, and so she decides to go and work on a minotaur milking farm, and then falls in love with the first. This is a real thing. It's called Minotaur Milking Farm or something.
I'm sorry I asked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, watch you on hit about it.
Just move
anyway, on. Right? Otherwise, you're going to have a situation where the entire internet has to be dumbed down essentially for the most retarded migrant child, right? Which is going to be, which in practice simply becomes mass censorship of any opinions that deviate from the regime, right? But the thing is, right, there's no reason why you couldn't do this through an anonymized cryptocurrency or something like that. You could easily envision a system where you needed ID to buy this specific cryptocurrency, okay? But it did not tell the government how it was spent, okay? So say I want to go and get a membership at bigtittygothgirls.com, right? But I don't want the government to know about my lust for Dracula biscuits. I could buy these tokens, right, and then spend them, right? So the main issue that people have with the whole digital ID thing is that it would allow a way for the government to basically trace in real time and link to your real self everything you are saying and doing on the internet. And this is clearly intolerable and against RedHawk. You know this. What's the clause in the Constitution that guarantees privacy in one's personal effects and papers? It's framed something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, 14th Amendment touches on that.
Yeah, that wasn't in the original Constitution that was added afterwards.
I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, but to me, right, as a filthy.
But we do have something like that in the amendment, and I do think it's the 14th.
Right. Okay. Well, it's part of the Constitution if it's been amended, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But my point is this, right? You are not going to eliminate sin. Okay. Right. And I personally think it's a bad idea to try. At the same time, you should not be promoting it. Okay, so I would probably say you need a space for, I don't know, spicy opinions, sexuality, extremism, all that kind of stuff. But
basically, the digital red light district.
Basically, the digital red light district. Yes, exactly. You need some kind of protection so that it just doesn't swamp all of society.
So Tommy, the 10-year-old, doesn't accidentally just walk in there one day.
No, but more than that, right? You don't want to send a message to 10-year-olds that hey, rather than being a nurse, I could be an OnlyFans model. That is clearly just very bad for society. That is, spreading and normalizing sin. That's a lot different to, adults wanting to go on bigtittygossgirls.com.
Right.
The reason I keep referencing the porn thing, I guess, I mean, you could say gambling as well, right? Okay, instead say you wanted to go to, losemysportsbet.com, right? You're not going to eliminate gambling. Gambling is a sin, right? But you shouldn't be promoting it either. So I don't know. I mean, internet freedom, I guess, to most people now is the ability to criticize the government, who will then turn around and say that you're a small vociferous minority, and that they're not going to listen to anything that you say because you're so rude when you say it. And then when you turn around and say, well, we've been trying to say this for ages, but you keep tone policing. And by tone policing, you are able to ignore all of our suggestions because they are framed so politely. They'll try and shut down your platform, I guess. I think we're on rails towards 2030, right? All of this 2030 stuff, it hasn't gone away. They've just shushed up about it. If it's 2026 now, they're all on the rails for digital ID, and they don't want their food talking back to them, right? You sit down for a sausage or something like that, and your sausage starts saying, look, I want representation. I'm very, very displeased with the way you treat myself and your brothers. And the man eating the sausage is like, dude, you're a sausage. Shut the fuck up, right? You're
SausageCookery.com.
Your job is to feed me, right? Not to have opinions. And I really believe that's basically the way most of the political class feels. So anyway.
Yep. I've
never felt so objectified in my life.
So my thoughts on this, my thoughts on internet freedom and what it means for us in the West here is pretty much summed up by what RedHawk said. I do my best to avoid moral absolutes these days because I care about the survival and well-being of my people. And of course, that is a concentric circle, private community, family, East Tennesseans, and that extends out to Americans, then it extends out to, white people in general. But we have to go with what works for us. And yes, we all know that in this cursed age we live in, where all of the writers of the 1900s that wrote the science fiction, the cyberpunk, the dark future stuff, a lot of what they predicted has come to pass. The constant degeneration of man, the prevalence of sin, the destruction of the natural human back and forth of labor and love and community has all been replaced by this digital crap. Well, that's bad, but there's nothing we can do about it. What we can do is use it. Those of us of a mind and a dedication to use these technologies for the well-being of our people need protections. Everything that RedHawk said, I agree with. That's basically my thoughts on all of this internet freedom, internet usage stuff. We need to get our guys in power, and we need to do as much as we can to make sure we can minimize the evil and harm done to our people and the people fighting for our people via the digital space. It's very good for us. We have used we've used it in many great ways to great success in the last decade. And it is important for us, at least right now, to continue to use all of the tools available to us fighting for our survival and well-being in the West. So that's pretty much my take on it. So anything else on this topic that comes to mind you guys want to talk about before we move on?
I don't think so. Let's sally forth and tackle the next dragon.
All right, we will do it. All right, we will bid adieu to this cute blue and go back to the topics, which are Super Soldier Psyop from the red, Meet the Monsters from the white, The Usual Suspects from the black, and Hey Man Goodshot from the green. Mr. RedHawk, what will it be?
All right, well, 3 of 12 is going to pick this time. He's going to lead the party in attacking one of these great beasts. So,
all right, let's do it. Mr. 3 of 12, what shall it be?
The Usual Suspects, the Black Dragon.
Oh, good choice. Okay. This should be pretty fun. We're actually going to go to Jerusalem Post for this, of all places.
Does this dragon have a long nose?
No, you'll see. You'll see when we get there.
Shalom, motherfucker.
U.S. capture exposes Palestinian authorities' hidden support for Venezuela's dictator Maduro. Opinion piece. The Palestinian Authority has long supported Venezuela's Maduro while keeping ties hidden from the U.S. Oh, have they? The Palestinian Authority has had a special and warm relationship with Venezuelan dictator Maduro, and before him, Hugo Chavez, as one of the soulmates, as one of soulmates. The PA has actively and openly placed itself firmly in the camp of the notorious human rights abusing Venezuelan dictators. Following the U.S. raid and arrest of Maduro and his wife, on charges including narco-terrorism and drug trafficking with an audacious military operation in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas, the PA has remained silent for now, fearing a U.S. reaction to its support for Maduro. However, the PA camaraderie with Maduro has been fundamental to PA policy. And this article goes to great length in its opinion piece, talking about how the Palestinian Authority has had long-standing ties with funding anti-democratic, anti-Western stuff going on, not just in South America, but the rest of the world. And I read through it today, and it made me start thinking, this might all just be bullshit. So I wanted to use it for a dragon tonight. So that's what this is actually going to be about. So let's move to this black dragon, this desert lord here. The black with us tonight is the wise old desert lord who has visited us before, and he's returned once again to share his wisdom with us about matters of real power and statecraft. Due to Islam being the whipping boy for Zionism and the U.S.-Israel war machine, it is difficult to clearly see what actual threats exist and what is merely propaganda. So that leads him to our question tonight. 3 of 12. Do you think Islam is a major existential threat to the United States or the West in general? And to what degree do you think the U.S. falsely presents Islam as such a threat?
Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely an existential threat. It's very clear that the third worlders have every intention to simply take over the West and impose Sharia law on it. You see it by the way that they just stop in the middle of the road or in front of an establishment or in a door or in a building.
And they'll just openly say that. Yeah, I know. I've seen many videos of that.
They will openly say it. People openly say it on Twitter. They are constantly inconsistent about it, where they basically say like, "No, I'm proudly British," but then says, but being British means imposing Islam on everyone. It's like, no, you don't decide that. You're not British. You're not English either. You're not any of these things. You're a foreigner. And you'll leave the second it's not beneficial to you. So, no, I think it's completely incompatible with the West. They are, even in the best of times, hostile, if not just overtly trying to impose themselves on everyone. And they get bolder and bolder every day, trying to rub it in our faces that they're going to take over the place. They've taken over Dearborn, Michigan. They've taken over Minnesota. They will take over
several places that we know of in the UK.
Yeah, they will take over any place. I mean, Birmingham, the second largest city in the UK, is just completely dominated by them. They're now like barreling in the G10. It just ruins everything it touches because they don't expect people to get anything past like a 4th grade education. They don't contribute monetarily. They don't pay taxes. All those narratives about migrants contributing to the economy and somehow being skilled is nonsense. And frankly, I just find it distasteful because of also how they treat women. Their men are not raised to have any restraint, and Islam makes no attempt to be moral. I think that it's just the only religion on earth that makes even an attempt to make men moral on the basis that morality is objective is Christianity. It's the only one that even makes an attempt. I think
I think that's why it's the only big religion that's good for us.
Yes. As far as I'm concerned, Islam is simply a cult that survived the death of Muhammad.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move to someone else. Newsfist, RedHawk, what do you guys think?
Since I'm in the UK, I feel like I can speak on this.
You are speaking to us from the great city of Londonistan.
Londonistan. Look, it honestly, it depends on which strain of Islam, right? Some are more extreme and virulent than others. So, for example, the strain that they've got in the UK, Deobandi, has now become so extreme that a lot of Muslim countries like the UAE and are discouraging students from going to study in the UK because they come back all Muslim Brotherhood and stuff, right? In those countries, particularly the ones that have normalized relations with Israel, they don't want any of that. But, Egypt's a bit like that. Saudi's like that because they create fucking trouble, right? It could, I mean, the thing is, I just don't, in England, right, they have become like, along with the Jays, sort of like the second major power block that must be assuaged if you want to get anywhere in politics, right? So you now have these two ethnic power blocks with the whites basically like sort of trapped in between them, being like swatted around by a ping pong ball. And you can see this very clearly. That's why the Muslims get like, you know, extra rights and speech protections, and the Jays get extra rights and speech protections, but the whites don't get shit, right? This is just, it is what it is, right?
Mhm.
I at the same time, it is also very, very clear that I'm pretty sure I read this on Twitter that the Zionists, shocked by the intensity with which people dislike a little genocide on the side, as it were, have decided that they're going to really, really ramp up the counter jihad shit as a way to sort of draw attention off themselves. That's pretty much like the playbook. But the thing is that, at least in the UK, the Muslims have adopted the playbook of the Jays, right? Like, because it's been so successful, they literally just use exactly the same tactics. So you get this weird. I don't know. You could probably, if you maintain like racial and religious hegemony, deal with a small amount of, you know, Muslims in your midst, as long as they like weren't getting radicalized, but then you'd need like enforcement for that and stuff like that. I don't know. I think if you don't check it, what you're going to wind up with is you're going to wind up like the UK. You will have the rise of another lobby, right, that is basically just as powerful as the Jayish lobby. They will use exactly the same tactics.
And they'll use your homeland as a war zone between them.
That's correct. That's correct. But not just your homeland, your political institutions.
That's what I mean. Everything they're in.
Yeah. And then your so it's like, I don't know. You know, do you just want the Jays, or do you want the Jays and the Muzzies? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want the Jays either.
Well, let me hear what RedHawk has to say before I share what I have.
Well, there's a couple parts to this, right? I mean, we heard from Newsfist, who has a different opinion on the matter because he's in the UK and they clearly have more issues on this topic than the United States does. As it relates to like Islam being an existential threat to the United States and to the West in general, I mean, like, I guess, but I mean, if you actually like look at like the Islamic countries like throughout the world, I mean, most of them are complete shitholes. Most of them aren't really a threat to like any Western country on like the face of it. And the thing I want to get to is Newsfist already mentioned it, this counter jihad thing. It's like, well, we know why they do this, right? They want to attach like the Palestinian issues with Islam in general because Americans have this sitting in their brains from 2001 with September 11th. It's like, then we declared war on Islam in general. But then there's a problem with that because they'll allow you to have the counter jihad when you're watching like Law and Order SVU and they talk about like honor killings in like an episode or something, and you're allowed to say, oh, Islam is bad. But then also at the same time, like, oh, well, we have freedom of religion in the United States, so anyone can be whoever they want to be. You know, there's no talk about, oh, well, if Islam is our enemy of the West, then we just need to ban all Muslim migrants from coming into the United States, right? And of course, you don't get any of that either. So a lot of the stuff is just completely performative, you know, to get you to look in a certain direction. And really, you just have to ask yourself, it's like, well, why are there a bunch of Somalis in Minnesota that are stealing billions upon billions of dollars every single year from the taxpayer that they, you know, row across the Atlantic Ocean in their long ships and conquer like a piece of Minnesota by marching like 1,500 miles inland with their like roving armies. And that's why they're a huge threat. It's like, no, it's like they were let in here by certain people with certain interests. And we all know who those people are, right? So it's like, is Islam itself like a threat? I mean, kind of, you know, when it's in like your backyard, but that's not really like the issue that we're looking at here. The real issue needs to be, okay, who is letting these people in? Who is giving them money to have them come in? And then who is preventing us from doing anything about it once they are here? You know, if they want to have their own like corner of the world that's in the middle of the desert and fight amongst each other with their like, you know, 2,000-year-old like ridiculous religion of theirs, like that's fine. Let them go and do that. None of them should be in a Western country. None of them should be in the United States. None of us should be giving any money to them. None of us really should even know where any of these countries exist on a map, quite frankly. You know, like, fuck all these people. So, I mean, I caution when people get into this, like radical Islam is taking over like New York City because like Zoran Mamdani's in charge. And I was like, get the fuck out of here, all right? This guy's just another brown Marxist. Islam is like has nothing to do with this guy at all, right?
Yeah, I do like that's almost exactly where my mind went to all of this. Like, yes, I do think that the threat of radical Islam and Islamo-fascist has been falsely presented to the United States population for many, many decades as a boogeyman, as an easy point to bad guy. We see it in movies, we see it in TV shows, it's in news media. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't represent some kind of threat. I think that Islam is incompatible with the way that Western man wants to live. I don't think that they should be here. But the real problem, the actual conflict of problems that we see as Westerners in our faces, it's not because of Islam. It's because of evil white people and the usual suspects, these anti-white scumbags using incompatible people as biological weapons against us. That's the real threat there. So, yes, in one way you can say Islam is a quote-unquote threat, but its incompatibility doesn't make it a threat as long as you don't mass import them and dump them in our backyards.
Yeah,
that's
if you just had like mass deportations and immigration moratorium, Islam would be like a non-issue.
And well, it would also require white people to actually care about our people, actually stand up and fight to enshrine based normal Christianity, not this fake and gay shit. It would actually require white people that have power and influence in government and business to stop utilizing laws or ignoring laws and stuffing all of our businesses and schools and small towns and shit full of foreigners. Like, that is the major issue. And if you can stop that, I don't think Islam is a threat to us. I don't think so at all. So that's my take on it. I think that
it hasn't really been a threat for us in 600-700 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what was the last really big problem with actual Muslim invasion? What was it, Spain, like 500 years ago or something? Like, Islam as it is today is only a problem when it is allowed to be a problem by like Mossad and the CIA and the usual suspects in government. And of course, your usual leftoid, open borders, libertarian shitbags that just want everybody to go everywhere all the time. Like, if you can stop that, I don't think Islam is a threat to us at all. You just have to have people in the West that actually want to protect us, our people, and our homelands, and not let in a bunch of incompatible foreigners. Then Islam becomes a minor problem, in my opinion. So that's my take on it. Newsfist, 3 of 12, any pushback on that?
Not really, other than I would say I would substitute libertarian with lolberts.
Well, whatever.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right.
It's
but
not.
I mean, the whole freedom of religion thing is tricky, right? Like, if you crack down on that, so like one of the things I've been kind of interested in is, I've been watching a bit of Joel Webben recently, and it seems like there's sort of some movement toward this idea of being like, well, how can we define Christianity broadly enough so we don't get into Nissan warfare, because you don't want that, right? Like, it's just going to be retarded, right? If you define it so specifically that the Catholics or the Protestants are like out, but at the same time you've got to define it rigidly enough to get rid of the Judaizers, because they are, the biggest sort of problem. The whole freedom of religion thing, man. Look, if you could easily just control the Muslims, man. If you would just, I reckon, like, if you would just, they're not naturally very sneaky. They tend to be just like very sort of in your face, So I think you could control them like easily if you just got rid of the more extreme ones. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, like the average IQ for Somalia is 68. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not afraid of you. I don't think you're a threat to me whatsoever, aside from when you have an entire state apparatus of the Democratic Party intentionally giving you like Gibbs and leg me ups, in order to embezzle and steal a bunch of fucking money. I'm really just not scared of a single like Islamic country on the entire planet. I mean, is any one of them like even remotely terrifying? I mean, I guess like Pakistan because they got nuclear weapons, right? But I mean, like. Other than that, who really gives a shit about any of these people and their fucking problems? Just don't be near me. And amazingly, this is how like the West functioned for thousands of years. We're just like, oh, okay, yeah.
I like Stumbling's comment in chat here. Whites are retarded when we extend freedoms to outgroups.
Correct. Very true.
Yeah, I don't care how non-liberty it sounds, but I want the laws and the businesses and the schools and the services and institutions in my country to just be for my people. I don't care how illiberal or ugly that sounds. We have seen the opposite of that and where it's brought us. It's time to change that.
So you want just a normal country?
Yeah, just a normal country.
Yeah.
Like
That
the
is
absolute the absolute normalcy of my country and my government and my businesses and my schools being for my people. What a radical idea. It's only every country that has ever been forever except now has done that. What a radical idea.
I don't know.
Ridiculous.
Sounds a bit racist to me, honestly.
Yeah,
Sounds a bit
pretty
woke rock
hateful.
to me, mate.
Yeah. James Lindsay is coming to your door right now to tell you about his Lord and Savior liberalism.
Liberal Judaism. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with all of this. It's like it's like by the same token, I don't necessarily even view Judaism as like an existential threat. I view the evil people who are of the Jewish bent doing terrible anti-white things to us. That is the threat. And if you stop that, go be a Muslim or a Jew wherever you want. Go be a Hindu in India. I don't care. Just don't do it here. Like, I don't want you having influence here where I live. It's not that I view all of these different groups as like existential threats. I think we should go bomb into extinction. I don't care about that. I just don't want them here in numbers. I don't like evil anti-white people in my country, bringing them in as biological warfare to torment me and to destroy the possibility of me having a good future. That's the actual existential threat, is the anti-whiteism. That's what I
which also can't be stated enough that that's exactly why all these people are here. I mean, like
Yeah.
the Somalis aren't here in Minnesota because they are geniuses who just need to have like their full potential unlocked by living in the frigid north of the country, right? It's like, no, this is bullshit. They're here to steal. They're here to loot. They're here to demoralize. They're here to be exactly as Yiz says. They're here to be biological weapons, and they should be treated as such.
Right, but RedHawk, okay, right, consider this, okay. When it is like conceived that someone has a brilliant idea, what do you draw above their head? You draw a light bulb, right? And all of these people having like light bulb shaped heads, I'm pretty sure, right? Like that means at some point they're going to have some like amazing ideas, right? Like new and interesting ways to like destroy countries. I mean, like the potential is boundless. How do you know? Right, that like 100,000 60 IQ Somalians won't suddenly like come up with a cannon to rival ancient Greek civilization. You don't.
Because civilization is not
you're a
communicable.
racist. That's why.
Well, let's see if we have any paid chats, and we'll move on. That was a good conversation. No, nothing there. Let me check Cash App again. Oh, shout out to Jason Kuna. He dropped me last week on Wednesday. He dropped me $50 and wished me a great 2026. Thank you, Jason. I know that because of scheduling, you're not able to be at my streams much live, but if you listen to this on replay, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, Jason's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
I like his methodology. It's fantastic and has definitely helped me think better on things and speak better on things. And that's it. That's we don't have any current paid chats for anything, so that's fine. Maybe we'll have some later. We will see. So we'll bid adieu to this big, awesome black dragon, and we will go back to the topics. The black dragon was the usual suspects, which leaves 3. Hey man, good shot. Meet the monsters and super soldier psyop. RedHawk, back to you.
All right, Newsfest, it is your turn to step up to the plate, sir.
The
Choose a
fist
dragon.
of news. What will it be, sir?
Let's see. Super Soldier Psyop. I've got no idea what that is.
Okay, well this will be fun. This will be fun.
It's a 40K story. Come on.
I wish. I fucking wish. All right. Here we go. Let's move back to Zero Hedge for this one. White House amplifies shocking claims of U.S. super soldiers deployed in Maduro raid. White House spokeswoman Carolyn Leavitt amplified claims about the American Special Forces super soldiers deploying advanced weaponry during the extraction phase of Maduro. Leavitt reposted an alleged account from a Venezuelan security guard at Maduro's compound describing what happened when Delta Force operators descended from helicopters in pitch-black conditions. This account was originally posted on X by California-based political activist Mike Netter, who is seeking to recall left-wing Governor Newsom. On the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems were shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones. We didn't know how to react, the security guard on Maduro's compound said. And let's move now to the actual full account. I find this very interesting. So we are going to read through all of this, and then we'll talk about it. The following account is from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Nicolas Maduro, and it is absolutely chilling. It explains a lot about why the tone across Latin America suddenly changed. Security guard. On the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all of our radar systems shut down with no explanation. The next thing we saw were a lot of drones flying over our position, and we didn't know how to react. Interviewer. So what happened next? How was the main attack? Security guard. After the drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but there were very few. I think 8. From those helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. Those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look anything like anything we fought before. Interviewer. And then the battle began? Yes, but it was a massacre. This is the security guard again. We were hundreds, but we had no chance. They were shooting with such precision and speed, it seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds a minute, and we couldn't do anything. Interviewer. And your own weapons, didn't they help? Security guard. No help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. Interviewer. And your comrades, did they manage to resist? Security guard. No, not at all. Those 20 men, without a single casualty, killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I've never seen anything like that. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was. Interviewer. So do you think the rest of the region should think twice before confronting the Americans? Security guard. Without a doubt. I'm sending a warning to anyone who thinks they can fight the United States. They have no idea what they're capable of. After what I saw, I never want to be on the other side of that again. They are not to be messed with. Interviewer. And now that Trump has said Mexico is on the list, do you think the situation will change in Latin America? Security guard. Definitely. Everyone is already talking about this. No one wants to go through what we went through. Now everyone will think twice. What happened here is going to change a lot of things, not just in Venezuela, but throughout the entire region. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now let's move to the Red Dragon. The Red with us tonight, like many Reds, appreciates war and military organization. She chose this story tonight because while on the surface the U.S. war machine does seem powerful and impressive, she knows there is usually more to the story, especially since media coverage of war activity, it's very difficult to know truth from lies. So her question tonight is this. Mr. Newsfist, how advanced and superior do you think U.S. Special Forces actually are? What makes these elite forces so superior? Is it just money and technology or other things as well?
Well, I mean, that thing you posted may be true, but it also massively sounds like propaganda as well. You know, how much truth is to it, though, I guess is the real question. Have you ever checked out Anduril, the arms company? There's this guy called Palmer Luckey who used to work for some tech company, right? I try and whenever I can see, I try and watch this guy because he really understands war, proper. Okay. So he went to Taiwan and he was talking about his new drone, and the idea was basically the whole thing had to be rigged so that you could make it in a car factory, right? That was that and it being cheap as hell. So you could just turn out millions of them, right? Complete reversal of US military doctrine. Anyway, so he has this Anduril has this thing called I forget what it's called. It's basically a networked helmet, okay, with predictive shit in it. I think if you could use that technology and you couple that with training again and again and again on your insertion zone and huge intelligence, I reckon you could. I'm sure I know Special Forces, US Special Forces soldiers are really, really well trained, but the technology as well just provides another layer. This is the kind of thing really that you sort of saw in Iraq as well, where you just have this incredible technological mismatch between the two sides, and it's not really quite so much a war as just a straight up massacre. I am 100% sure that this is going to be a Call of Duty mission at some point very soon. It sounds cool. I would play that, right? Like, you come in, we must take out the, Pueblo Islands, or whatever.
Right.
Look, I'm sure it's money. I'm sure it's technology. I'm sure it's the general technology gap as well. I'm sure the US has had like on the ground people on the ground in Venezuela for literally forever. I doubt the CIA, for example, ever actually left. They're all through South America, so they would have had sort of probably complete up-to-date information on where all the satellites were, where all the radars were. It's a bit of an open question as to whether they just bribe somebody in the military to turn them off, or whether they disabled them, or whether they had new stealth crap. I don't know. I mean, it's the fog of war. You're never probably going to, I bet you'll know in 20 years, someone will come out and write a memoir of it. And, once it's completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it is interesting. What have they actually done by nabbing Maduro, right? They certainly send a message. Okay.
I think that's the main thing. Yeah. Unless you are more of the never-ending Zionist conspiracy sphere, where you think it was only to expand Israel's power and influence. So
yeah, no.
There are some people that make good points about that, and I have read them, but I am less inclined to believe that everything is always about Israel than it just is about the American machine's money and power.
This actually fits very neatly into international relation doctrine. Okay, so the fundamental idea behind realist international relations is that the most stable form is deterrence. Okay, and so deterrence is how badass your opponents think you are. So broadly stated. Okay, so one way of looking at this was an operation that provided maximum deterrence with actually very little effort. Right, they didn't have to invade or go to war or drop a nuke on anyone. Right, they just reached in and snatched this leader, and by doing that they altered the deterrence calculus in the whole subcontinent. So it could just be that they're just right, we need some deterrence, right? No one respects us. Well, we're not going to drop a nuke on South America or invade, because that's bullshit. Let's just show them that we can reach out and touch any of them anywhere.
All right, let's hear from someone else.
I got head 3.
Yeah, I don't think I have a whole lot to say about this, actually. Because, the United States is the most developed, most advanced, best trained military on the planet in almost every way. I think that the description of this is actually quite possible.
Well, the reason I ask is that little interview that went viral on Twitter and a couple of other places, it just seems too perfect for positive propaganda. And I do my best to see through propaganda that's purposefully cultivated to make me feel turbo America. I'm very skeptical with that shit. And that's why I made this a dragon tonight, to see what you guys think.
I think what's probably more likely is that they're describing hundreds of people died from this. No. I think the initial reports of it just being maybe a handful of people were involved, maybe even and the 32 Cubans, that could be true, on the basis that Cuba is known to essentially hold Venezuela as a puppet state, because Maduro can't run a country on his own. He's not a strong man. He was a bus driver before he was put into the election for it, and the only real experience he has, even vaguely related to politics, is union negotiations. I think Maduro is a complete puppet. I'm sure that Cuba was actually strong-arming him constantly. It wouldn't shock me at all, because, for how weak Cuba is, Venezuela is a complete nothing state. I think that's
from RedHawk now.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I'll add on this, I don't really have much to add about, sonic weapons and, amazing technology and yada yada this. The one thing I will say is that, what has separated, special ops teams and Western military men in general, simply because we're white guys. You go back and you look at casualty reports and things like Rhodesia, where in many cases 100 to 1, basically as it related to the Rhodesian guys killing 100 of the Bantu that were coming in for every one of them that they lost, right? Such engagements are
we do
they're
have a
not
penchant
uncommon.
for advanced warfare, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, things like this are not uncommon. I mean, it's like the same thing in like Black Hawk Down, right? They killed like over like 1,000 Somalis and they lost like 30 U.S. soldiers, right? I mean, so it's, that's more or less all I have to say on this stuff. It's like, wow, did anyone really think that like Venezuela was going to be able to like stand up to the arms of the United States or something? I mean, there's just nobody on the planet who could do it unless you have nuclear weapons. That's the only way you can defend yourself against the United States. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 130 plus IQ males that are basically eating steak and eggs every day and properly working out with an optimized regimen and are perfectly trained to the extent of human knowledge.
And then you give them the tech advantage, and then you really have something.
Right, and then they're also the cream of crop of the people who are already in the military.
The other thing too is like, I know there's like a lot of people who kind of want to like, etch this out of our history kind of deal because, like they see like a lot of the violence going on in the world today and they think like, oh, like white people like just aren't violent and stuff. A lot of people talk about this like when it relates to like
white people fight like demons.
Well, that's my point. I mean, it's like, I mean, especially in like the European context, it's like it was literally like over 4,000 years of war between each other. I mean, we got really good at it. So I mean, we're good. We're fighting people. Americans in particular are just a violent group of people as a whole. I mean, we're not savages, we're not barbarians, but I mean,
but
Americans
we do like our violence. I mean, look at
we're
our American football.
Yeah, I mean, Americans like to fight, man.
Yeah, like American football is basically a game about squad on squad military violence, and we all love it.
Yeah, pretty much. Imagine the guys out there with like hoplite armor. It's basically what it is, right?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and drop the picture and we'll talk about it. Like I mentioned a minute ago, the reason why I wanted to bring this one up specifically is it's very difficult to sort of know exactly why we are told and shown the things we are via the media. And especially since I am, for good reasons, very distrustful of my government and my war machine that facilitates said government. It always makes me wonder, this interview with this guy just seems too perfect. Like it's almost like it was sculpted. Like this interview was sculpted to fearmonger among the Central and South American people that this regime wants to put the fear in. And so that makes me wonder how much of it is just, media theater. But I like I said, a lot of the dudes in my family going back generations have all been military and many of them special forces. And I do know how qualified and good those dudes are. Like one of my uncles, for example, over 6 feet tall by a lot, big, powerful, smart, fast, shoot great. He was a paratrooper. He was in the Green Berets. He did other spec ops stuff. He was in the Black Hawk Down thing over in Africa. Like really big in the military. And his military friends that he was in that upper echelon with, they were all like 6.5 foot tall, smart, competent, athletic white dudes. Like every one of them. And I totally believe after meeting them and being around them, that group of dudes could easily kill, with the right equipment and setup, they could easily kill like 1,000 or 1,200 dudes that didn't know what was coming and had shitty training and shitty equipment. Like I absolutely believe that. But I don't know. I just wanted to put it to you guys to see if that was just my personal experiences or if you shared that too.
Yeah.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on then. I don't see any paid chats anywhere. Let me refresh again and make sure we didn't miss any. Don't see any there. All right. The only place I have it checked is PayPal because it always logs me out. I have to log in again. I hate having to log into PayPal several times a stream because every single time I do, it shows me an advertising picture of a mixed race couple, and it's always non-white male with white female every single time.
Yeah,
it's fucking disgusting. I hate it.
It's just been
anyway
for so long. You see it all the time now.
It's just
every Sargon.
I'm seeing it less and less though.
It's like all cartoons, all advertising, all commercials. It's all the same.
Yeah, I saw Sargon tweeted one out recently. It was like Finnish. It's like how to date a Finnish quick girl or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, it was by you know who.
Yeah, but it's less than often as it used to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really know because I do my best to avoid advertisements in every shape and form. I almost never see any anymore.
Yeah.
My buddy Ryan Stone came out with his cyberpunk book last year, and he predicts in the dystopian future that even to take a piss in your own house, you have to watch a Google ad. So horrible.
Hey, if the 2030
dude.
crowd wins, that'll be a reality.
Yeah.
All right, we have 2 topics left. We have Meet the Monsters and Hey Man, Good Shot. RedHawk, what'll it be?
All righty. Well, I'm going to have to go with Hey Man, Good Shot on this one.
All right. This is a good one. Okay, this is, of course, a good one with stress on the word good. So let's go ahead and start here. DHS releases video of Renee Good blocking traffic before fatal eye shooting. The DHS released the video on Sunday that shows the 37-year-old Renee Good blocking traffic with her car during an immigration operation in Minneapolis before she was fatally shot by an ICE officer. The over 3 minutes of footage was taken from a nearby building. It shows Good's Honda Pilot blocking one side of 2-lane residential street where ICE officers are conducting the operation. She appears to be blaring on her horn before some federal vehicles manage to move around her. As Good waves them on, officers from another vehicle exit and approach, which is seemingly just before she is fatally shot after, quote, weaponizing her vehicle and attempting to run over the officer with her car. The new footage comes as the state Democratic lawmakers continue to claim Good was actively trying to leave the scene of the ICE operation and was not disrupting it. Here's one from Kristen Welker. You had a person that was definitely trying to just get out of there. They were trying to leave the scene, says Welker. This is not a person who is trying to run an ICE agent over. And then, of course, the demon himself, Mr. Tim Walz, also previously said Good was shot and killed, quote, for no reason whatsoever, adding that the shooting was preventable and unnecessary. The Trump admin, meanwhile, has maintained that Good was stalking and impeding ICE officers' work by blocking them in and shouting at them. DHS reiterated the statement on Sunday, responding to the new footage by saying for more than 3 minutes, the anti-ICE agitator impeded a law enforcement operation with her vehicle. Whether or not you think that means she deserved to be shot and killed, well, that's up for some deliberation. So let's see what the Green Dragon has to say. The Green with us tonight is a warder with a long history of successful, if brutal, campaigns against threats to his clan's holdings, including personally eradicating powerful tribes of orcs and fire giants. He chose this story tonight not only because he feels personal affinity with the ICE organization, but to ask us about a particularly popular American quote. Despite the original material being a discussion about taxes and public funds in wartime, the Benjamin Franklin quote, "Those who give up liberty in exchange for security will lose both and deserve neither," has been popularized by those who view the use of authority of any kind as a bad thing on its own, regardless of context. So this is his question to us tonight. RedHawk, do you think the use of force with either minimal or blatant disregard for due process are justifiable? What would your ideal balance of power between liberty and security look like?
Oh boy, is this a huge question? I don't even know if I'm qualified to answer this.
Well, this is why I wanted to ask it to you, because
yes.
I know that you're not a big-time book nerd like a lot of the other dudes I have on here. You're more like me in this regard, where you just sort of absorb things and have opinions. And I was curious how you felt about this particular pair of questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like my mind immediately goes to 2 places, right? It's like, well, in an ideal world, like much of what our founders envisioned this country might be, the system that they put around might have been worked out really well if it was just kept to the demographics of people that it was designed for. As it relates in our current time, in the context of the shooting that occurred earlier this week, no doubt there will be more and more like this, as there's just no stopping the Jacobin revolution that is currently underway in the United States right now. So, I mean, it was always inevitable, right, that some some woman was going to get wasted by ICE, right? I mean,
I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier.
Actually. Same with me, to be honest. I was talking about this all last year, and I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner, right? So, I mean, kudos to those guys for doing a pretty good job of handling the situation as best they could, even though they've been shot at a couple of times and attempted murders, were occurring all last year.
No doubt stress level is high in that job with all the
oh yeah,
and press against them, and
the guy that shot this
thrown
chick
at him and shot, and people yelling at him all the time. Like, it's got to be a stressful job.
I mean, it was crazy to find out that the guy who shot this chick got ran over by a car last year by a protester and got dragged.
Maybe he didn't want that to happen again.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the guy was in the hospital last time because he didn't drop somebody who was going to run him over with a car, and this time he avoided like the 3 months of injury or what have you by dropping this bitch. So I mean, well. So in an ideal world, yes, I don't want there to be a situation where, cops and ICE and everybody can just, drop somebody without, a judicial process in the United States. This then goes into the conversation about like, oh, well, like, the universal rights of all men or what have you that people somehow think is real. This is where you get like these ridiculous clowns like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey were bitching and complaining about us blowing up like drug boats in the middle of the Caribbean. It's like, who gives a fucking shit? No, it's like, really, this is the hill you guys are going to die on right now. I honestly couldn't believe that when Rand Paul put out that tweet.
I was surprised.
I was blown away by his response to it. He was like, well, guys, didn't you know in 2019, when they did a survey of all these drug boats going by, only 21% of them didn't have drugs. So we can't blow that up because of the 21% of them. And here I am thinking, like, I'm under the impression that maybe like 40% of these boats actually have drugs on them or something before this. And I made the calculations like, you know what? I'm fine with this. That's fine.
Yeah.
But then for it to be told that 80% of these boats are just crawling with drugs, I'm like, holy fuck, blow up all of them. Like,
blow them all up
again. Yeah.
Missiles.
I was like,
all
cool.
day long.
Yeah. I was like, cool. I'm doubling down even more now. Thanks, Rand. But so, I mean, yes, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have this situation, but you know what? It's my guys who are in charge right now. It's my guys who are winning, and they should be able to drop, lefty protesters on a whim, as far as I'm concerned. I'm just beyond the point of caring about these people at this point. I mean, it's just so obvious. It's so obvious that the rules aren't fair for either side, and I'm just done with this point of, like, we got to be moral fags about all this stuff. It's just so frustrating to see people on our side who are still clinging to this stuff. It's like, oh, we got to be the better people on this one, and we really got to like be really sad when this lesbian from white woman who deserted her 3 kids like try to run over a cop and stuff. It really sucks. It's like, does it really? Like, really? I'm just, there's a million other things that we got to be caring about right now.
Dude, I'm a moral fag, and I entirely agree with you.
Okay.
Like, I think the actual morality of it is that like this needed to happen, that consequences need to be applied, the law needs to be followed, the law needs to be applied. They've been putting out these pamphlets telling people in these paid resistance groups that this is the most successful way to stop law enforcement from arresting someone, which is an absolutely crazy thing to tell someone.
Because they're basically telling them to get shot. Yeah,
they're telling them to get shot. Some of you may die
on purpose, so they have the headlines.
Well, yes, that is what people suspect, and I suspect that too. That they've been trying to get this to happen for a long time, but they're trying to look for like a mass casualty event. They want what was it called, like Kent State or whatever the fuck it was, when the military was deployed and they literally shot people on campus. They want something like that, something that's completely undefensible to happen, and it's just not going to happen. I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen because they keep putting themselves in a situation where self-defense is completely justified. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're not going to get what they expect to because this federal law enforcement is just too well trained at this point. Do they not realize that law enforcement completely changed around that event? They're ridiculous. If they think it's going to happen, it's just not. It just isn't. And I think this goes into the question in that, like, do you think what would your ideal balance of power between liberty and security look like? It'll look like that. We've kind of already gotten there. If you just apply the law the way it is, we're already pretty much there.
Yeah, that's close to my answer too, actually, 3. I'm glad you said that.
Because self-defense is a really great concept to base it around. That basically you are free to defend yourself if someone attacks you. You are free to use proportional force, and it's pretty loose. I mean, a car is pretty much legally considered a weapon at this point, and it's worked in both directions, as we've seen. With basically, if you use a car to attack someone, they're entitled to self-defense. If somebody attacks you in your car, you're entitled to use your car for self-defense. It works both ways. Works great. Pretty consistent. Cops are applying it consistently. I think that works great. The balance should be entirely based on, is someone trying to kill you? As long as you are not harming someone else, as long as what you're doing isn't harming someone else or the community, I think that's the closest answer you're going to get. Is that you have every right to defend yourself and your way of life if someone is trying to destroy it. So basically, banning communism, totally reasonable. Banning Nazism, totally reasonable. Banning people from protesting in the street, totally reasonable, because that's not a redress of your government. That's you just bothering other random people. You're molesting them on their about their day. So yeah, that should be totally illegal. I think if we just enforce the law, this is what it should look like, because it's FAFO. It's literally just FAFO at this point. They're telling people to do things that will get them suicided by cop. Some of you may die, but it is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Yeah, very much that. Newsfist, what do you think, my friend?
These considerations of self-defense, due process, and stuff are considerations of peace. And at the moment, at least in Minneapolis, a state of war exists. It annoys me that this is what the lefties do, of course, right? They use what's called like liminal violence. So they go to war with you, but they use sort of every method other than sort of outright mass force, because to them outright mass force is fascism, and they're all sneaky and subverty. And then and of course this comes straight from Saul Alinsky. The idea is to get the fascist power to overreact and then to use that to feed mass action, which will then I honestly don't even know what the fuck the left wants at this particular point, right? They want to overthrow whiteness.
I think they want the absolute destruction of everything. It's pretty clear.
Well, yeah,
especially considering like what you just said, like the not using mass force part, except for when they do use mass force, which they do.
Most of the fucking retards don't frame it like this, right? Like if you pointed out to them that total destruction is the inevitable outcome, they'll just be like, no, it isn't. Like they're caught up in, I don't know, fucking fairness or some fucking hippy dippy fucking Jehovah's Witness version of like race relations, where like the Somali lies down with the white man and the Indian lies down with the Pakistani or some fucking shit, right?
That's just fairy tale land. That won't happen.
Well, it won't, right? I mean, you've seen that shit, those pictures in the Watchtower, right? The Jehovah's Witnesses do. It's like a green grass field, and there's a lion lying there, and like a lamb, and everything's like, dude, come on. So I don't. So this is the problem, right? Like all of these ideas of like self-defense are based upon a reasonable person interpretation. Well, that works fine when you have sort of an ethnically and religiously and sort of high-ish IQ population, right? But how are you going to provide a reasonable person test to a completely insane lesbian who's hopped up on communism and
or an IQ 60
you shoot her,
or an IQ 60 schizophrenic Somali?
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Right.
Like
so
you don't like they get violent and then you shoot them.
So that's my point. Okay, right. That's basically war, and I don't know. I'm curious to see how long it takes, because obviously from the point of view of the communists and their associated allies, the tactic is to stop the population realizing that they are at war for as long as possible, because only coordinated military action is their one big weakness fundamentally.
And I think that's the reason why we've seen such a dramatic uptick in privated communities, private school enrollment, homeschooling. I think that more and more white people are starting to realize we are in some kind of existential crisis or war. I think that there's a lot of us who are starting to realize that.
Sure, but that's individual sort of people. mostly, right? For it to be a proper war, you would need, large militias, state involvement, like that kind of stuff, not just sort of individual or small group tactics.
No, I agree. I'm just saying I think that the awareness is starting to tick up.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Like it's now become like just so blatant. If you notice how different sort of this time around is to like BLM, no one really gives a shit. A lot of the sort of usual people are staying, like the sort of moderate people are staying quiet on this one. Obviously, there's the crazy communists who just resurface again, but I think the fatigue is setting in. So I don't really know how you would apply any of those things to a war situation, basically.
Okay. Well, the things that I wanted to say about this have basically already been said. I think that it's fine if ugly things have to be done for the well-being of what matters, for the well-being of the things that matter to you most. Like, let's say that, what if we had leaders? God, like, I dream about this every freaking day. What if we actually had leaders at some point in the next few years that said, you know what? Europeans have to look out for each other. The whites in Europe, the whites in America, enough is enough. We just have to start getting rid of people that aren't compatible with us. And I don't mean crazy death camps and all that Nazi lark bullshit. I mean good-minded people who actually want to take control of the system and do take control of the system. And they start, axing the H-1B stuff. They stop it with the Gibbs. They start actually enforcing the laws we have. That's basically my ideal version of security versus liberty, is what I think we are supposed to have, what my forefathers had in this country 150, 200 years ago. That's what I want.
Stephen Miller for president.
Oh, no, he's honorary, but he's not really one of us. But anyway, but it's like, it's not really that far of a stretch. Like we joked about earlier, I just want a normal freaking country. If we just have normal leaders that actually identify with us and care about us, it's sort of the same application here as the other conversation. When and if there are unfortunate applications of violent force to make things better, then I think we would all agree that it just had to be done. Like, if you have thousands of selfish, violent, evil Somalis in Minnesota, or a bunch of self-serving, evil Jewish Zionists in Washington, D.C., and people came to power and were like, hey, you guys have to stop that. It's time for you to go home. We're turning off the Gibbs spigot. We're turning off AIPAC. We're ending this ugly get white people sacrificed on the war machine altar. This is over, guys. We're finished with this. Go home. Like, they would just have to go home. There wouldn't have to be crazy death camps and ethnic cleansing and all this dumb shit that people go on about all the time. Like, we just need good white people being responsible, in charge. And I think that almost everyone in the country would be okay with whatever minor discrepancies or quote unquote abuses of power would happen, because it's making things better for our future, for our children, for our well-being. And I think everyone would be okay with that. To me, ideal is just fixing what we have and going back to what we used to have. That's basically ideal for me. Is that what's ideal for you guys too?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
a lot still need to be changed.
I think another thing that should be part of this conversation as well is it's just completely feminine to just constantly bitching and moaning about violence all the time. Because
it's such a necessity to make everything work.
Yeah, it's like, if you're a man, you really shouldn't be afraid of violence as such. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to be like a sycophant and stuff, like some orc from Warhammer or something like that, right? But at some point, there's just like a red flag that comes up in my brain if the first reaction from a guy is just immediate moral fag about this violent act or something like this. It's like, come on, dude. It just. You don't have to like it, but you should at least be accustomed and familiar with it to an extent, so it doesn't freak out at the sight of a violent act or some blood or something like that. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah, my view on that is that you should you should have a gun. You should be trained with it. You should be fit. You should live like a free man until someone confronts you on it, and then you kick his ass.
Yeah, and also don't forget the other important part of that: having friends like that and networking like that to build a fortified community against hostile outsiders. That's the very critical part of that. Because we can't just have 1,000 independent little Rambos. Like we have to have men of wherever you live, whether it's men of Tennessee, men of West Virginia, whatever. You have to network and be invested in the other competent men around you. That's how everything happens. That's why we have the OGC. Right, RedHawk?
Yeah.
We need the expendables.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're far past the days of like 1000 BC where Achilles was like the one-man army. It's like, no, we need a whole squad of dudes. We need people who are like-minded, who have your back, who you could trust, and you need those fraternal networks and bonds of brotherhood, which you too can be a part of if you are an American man and would like to join the Old Glory Club.
I'm doing my part.
That's right.
Exactly.
Shill the Old Glory Club. They get my vote. They're wonderful. I know the people who started it. I go to their events. I network with them. Old Glory Club are good men doing good things. They have my total support. All right. Well, let's move to the last dragon, guys. That was a good conversation, and let's see what is last. Now, that was Hey Man Good Shot, which leaves Meet the Monsters. Now, what could that possibly be about? I wonder. So, Mr. RedHawk, you are the party leader, which means since there's one dragon left, there's only one question. Do you want to be the one who answers the dragon's question first, or do you want to nominate someone else to be?
Oh, I'll answer it first. I'll charge into the fray.
I knew you wouldn't be afraid. Here we go. This is from the Daily Caller. Meet the murderers, child rapists that ICE is arresting in Minnesota. Despite Democrats raging against the agency, ICE agents are continuing to arrest child rapists and murderers in Minnesota. Amid their enforcement surge, federal immigration authorities are nabbing, quote, the worst of the worst criminal illegal migrants across the land of 10,000 lakes, according to ICE Director Todd Lyons. While deportation officers nab gruesome individuals throughout Minnesota, high-profile Democrat politicians are publicly demanding they leave immediately. Here's a quote. Regardless of staged political theaters, ICE is going to continue to arrest the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens in Minnesota and elsewhere, Lyons said in a public statement. Some of these criminal aliens have had final orders of removal for 30 years, but they've been free to terrorize Minnesotans. Quote, ICE's arrest prevents recidivism and makes communities safer, but it feels like local politicians want to ignore that part and drum up discontent rather than protect their own constituents. Among those recently arrested include a Laotian criminal, illegal immigrant, convicted of strong-arm sodomy of both a young boy and a young girl, and a slate of other crimes. Another Laotian criminal, illegal migrant, convicted of sexual assault and sodomy of a young girl, 13, and for procuring a child for prostitution. Both men have outstanding final orders of removal that date back several years. Another illegal migrant from Laos, convicted of raping a 12-year-old and kidnapping a child with intent to rape her, was also taken into custody by ICE. And then we have another Laotian criminal with a Chinese name, nabbed by deportation officers, who was previously convicted of rape, groping a child, and has an outstanding order of removal since 2003, 23 years ago. Federal immigration authorities also arrested a Mexican national, Fabriel something, a Somali national, name I can't pronounce, a Salvadoran national, another long name, a Sudanese national, a Sierra Leonean national, and a Laotian national, all with existing murder charges. Not just warrants, actual charges, but for whatever reason, they aren't in prison, and they're just roaming about.
God, I speak any of these names, and my furniture would start to float.
I know, right?
Death penalty. Heads on pikes.
This is the Mos Eisley Cantina people we talk about, RedHawk.
Oh, yes.
Democrats across Minnesota and elsewhere are criticizing ICE after a deadly shooting in Minneapolis involving a federal agent. We just talked about that. No reason to talk about it more. Donald Trump and his administration, this is according to the demon Tim Waltz. Donald Trump and his administration may not care about Minnesota, but we love the state. We won't let them tear us apart. We won't let them turn us against each other. Man, This is just such hollow crap. I can't believe he says this shit. And then here's one from the mayor of Minneapolis. I have a message for ICE. Get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in the city is to create some kind of safety, and you're doing the exact opposite. Yeah, they actually want all of the foreign murderers and rapists to run loose. Yeah, that's what makes Minneapolis safe.
Yeah, Mayor Frey was able to be reached for comment shortly after taking a cock and removing it from his mouth.
Yeah,
he was able to,
and then putting it in his butt.
And then putting it in his butt. Yeah, or no, the butt was already taken up by another illegal immigrant. Anyway, and then of course we have the OG ridiculous Ilhan Omar, also spotted among a crowd of anti-ICE protesters on Saturday. She and 2 other Minnesotan congressmen reportedly sought to enter an ICE detention facility in St. Paul. After initially being admitted, officials cited new orders to escort them out because there was insufficient notice given to them. Ilhan Omar said, "We know we are here to stay. As many of you know, ICE came to terrorize, abduct, and deport Somali immigrants here in Minnesota. And we know that she is Somalia first, as she openly and often claims in many venues. So we know her thoughts on this. So let's go ahead and move to the last dragon of the evening. This big, savage, primal white dragon here. The white with us tonight, excuse me, is an old patriarch with many powerful offspring who reign over their mineral-rich world and the Great Dragon Empire. Keeping criminal filth and ideological tormentors out of your lands is, of course, important, but putting up an intimidating front against those elements is equally important. So in that, he approves of what ICE is doing. His question tonight, however, is about those who defend the criminals. How do you think politicians and public figures who protect these criminal illegal aliens should be punished? Do you think making examples of them would help?
Yes and yes.
Would you like to elaborate, or just stand with your Chad? Yes.
It should be obvious at this point, and this should go for like judges as well. These people to like let off these 10,000 yard like rap sheets of these criminals. It's kind of just amazing when you look at it, the statistics in major cities. It's not just like the 1350 that everyone's familiar with, right? It's actually way more like granular than that in the sense of it's literally like 100 guys in New York that commit around like 75% of the crimes. It's just stupid.
It's crazy,
and it's just people who get let off all the time for political reasons. And quite frankly, the judges who let these people off should meet the exact same sentence as the crime the criminal goes on to complete once they've been let out. So yes, absolutely, these people should be made examples of. Ilhan Omar should be denaturalized, deported, preferably via trebuchet, literally like tomorrow. It's just so ridiculous about how much fraud, corruption, lies, all of the kind that you guys call your show The Empire Lies for a reason, right? I mean, it literally is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
my opinion's pretty similar. Yes, and their heads should be put on pikes. But to be more realistic, when it comes to say all the politicians, they obviously need to be prosecuted. It needs to be moved along. There needs to be a constant string of them being prosecuted in all the courts in America, and they need to get either back. Many of them have corruption and fraud charges that are so high that there's nothing other to justify it. There's anything else justified but the death penalty. Fraudulently stealing hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. I saw some posts on Twitter today that just the 5 states that we've been talking about most recently add up to easily $1 trillion per year. If you just got rid of that fraud, just by literally killing those people, you would reduce most of the deficit in 1 year. It would be over with, and then the rest of it could be paid off by like tariffs and maybe a little bit of
Secretary Bessa announced today on the news that he estimates that 10% of the United States budget is stolen every single year, and the number is probably higher than that.
It's probably higher than 10%, but no, it's a staggering number of billions of US dollars that just disappears. Not to mention depreciating our savings and stealing money from us actively through taxes, just down the drain through fraud.
Yes, the U.S. budget is over $20 trillion. If you solve this immediately, you would solve the deficit. You could start paying off the debt, and then you could further reduce. You could pay off the debt efficiently in an actual like reasonable number of years by further just getting rid of all non-essential workers for the federal government, which would be about 700,000 people, and save $1.5 trillion on the budget. So yeah, you could pay it off in like 10, 15, 20 years. It's ridiculous. If you just solved the problems by just being willing to make the hard decisions and just start executing people. And I mean it. I really do mean it. I don't just mean in Minecraft. You need to start executing people. You need to make an example of these people that it's not going to be tolerated to engage in, say, earth-shattering levels of fraud that have turned a nation that could easily keep a zero balance sheet any day of the week to being $38 trillion in debt. That should not be considered. That should be considered not just not tolerated and not just punished. It should be expected that you die. That's traitorous behavior, absurd levels of behavior. You don't need hundreds of millions of dollars to live well.
And I also think that it sends a message. Like if you have an establishment that is willing to prosecute, deport, excommunicate, banish, or even actually execute people, that is strong. And a strong leader does necessary but ugly things when they are necessary. And so I think I don't want to talk over Newsfist. He hasn't responded yet. Let's let him go. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm generally in agreement. Again, to fix this problem, you're going to have to gut the entire judiciary.
Agreed.
And to do that, you're going to have to gut the entire legal teaching profession. You have to fundamentally gut the idea of blank slatism. What you need is a racist government. It's the only kind of government that is going to have any kind of success now, which of course is why there's so much gatekeeping to expressly keep those kind of people out of government.
I do think that those things are inevitable, though, because
well,
I
either
believe
that or
that
collapse.
I believe in our people, and I think that we have had enough. And I think that because we see the desperate clampdown on all of our ideas, but they keep being pushed forward, and we keep seeing politicians a little more in our favor, I do think that it's coming.
Well, yeah, of course, because for a government to be effective, it has to correspond with reality. This is the big problem, right? Like, if you just make a governmental system that ignores reality, well, you're gonna have problems. I don't know. Yeah, I think there should be very harsh punishment for these judges. They will bitch and whine about the independent judiciary, but the whole idea of an independent judiciary is a very, very white Western idea. And the judiciary, even if one intends it to be, generally speaking, is not independent, because the idea is that it carries with it. If that primary idea is not equality for everyone under the law, it gets corrupted very, very quickly. So, but I don't know. I'm kind of in favor of bringing back like public corporal punishment. I think there's certain sections of society that would really benefit from that, quite frankly, because they don't really think of consequences, like future consequences, the way that the Western people do. And as the system degrades, they are proven more and more right.
Yep.
I also think we desperately need all violent criminal and all high crimes that don't justify immediate death penalty to be made to work for the sake of paying off their debt to society. We need more production, and we need cheap labor. Right?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it depends. Like, I don't know.
We need to drop our costs, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know how to base this on labor because of how rapidly things are changing with technology. I don't pretend to know the future with that part. And obviously, I'm not an economicist, so I don't know how to answer that on like an economic production versus need type of thing.
Okay, then I won't ask, and I'll say we need it.
Okay, all right. But when it comes to the what we're talking about at hand with the the corporate people, the government people, the judicial people, the law enforcement people that are actively facilitating this biological white erasure through these immigrants. I think that they are more guilty than the immigrants themselves. I think that these people need the harshest punishment under the law of treason. Even if they won't be actually executed, they need to be excommunicated from the United States under pain of immediate termination should they return. I think all the Ilhan Omars, all the Waltzes, all of these cretins in business and in government, these corrupt judges, they all have to go and they all have to be punished, stripped of wealth, made impoverished, and perhaps even taken on a walk of shame so we can throw things at them and scream at them and tell them that they're cowards and pieces of crap for turning on their own people before they are forced to leave the country or put into a noose in public square. Like, that is what I want. I want those things to happen. And I think millions of us want that too. And eventually there will be men who rise up who will give us that. And so we have to be open and honest about the things we want and convicted in letting everybody know this is not immoral. It is justice. I don't want this because I hate non-whites. I want this because I love my own people. I love my country. And I want to punish people who actively do evil to the things I love and care about. I think that is a message that resonates with millions of people, and we need to push for that. All right, I'm done off my soapbox now. This shit just gets me fired up.
Yeah. All right, let's lighten up our mood with some dank memes.
Oh yeah,
kill.
Mr. RedHawk is totally correct. It is indeed time for the treasure tonight. And we still don't have any paid chats, but I'll check again before we bounce out of here just to make sure I'm not leaving anybody behind. So I will check again. But it is indeed time for memes. So let's go ahead and drop the Discordant Dragons banner. And we will start with, where are my memes? There we go. All right. We'll start with this one. When I says stop, you must collaborate and listen. That's so old now. I can't believe how old this is. This is like a 40-year-old meme now. I love this one. This is a good one. Drive, baby, drive. Coming to theaters this summer. Just look at all the people in this. This is great.
Isn't it amazing how much they all look like Will Stancil?
Yeah. There is certainly a phenotype of this type of lib shit.
Oh, yes.
Next up, Minnesota taxpayers and Tim Walz.
Oof.
I know this is a bit raunchy, but I think it's funny. It made me laugh. All right, moving on. Have fun at school, baby. Mama's going to die for Somalians. Yes, mommy.
Wasn't going to be a good mom anyway.
Yeah. This kid's better off without her. All right. The entire situation could have been avoided if there were no Somalians and no Somalians here, and women couldn't drive.
Yeah, true.
I mean, fact check, true. That's true. Oh, I like this one. This is a visual meme. You have to look at this.
Oh, yeah. Many such cases.
Many such cases. Good Tiananmen Square ripoff here.
That's funny.
Yeah, but she was the one driving, so I mean, you know.
No, it's just quick AI slop. I just thought it was funny. It made me laugh. I like this. Stop saying brave when you mean racist, says some lib shit. No, Boromir, you fought racistly. You have kept your honor.
Nice work calling that orc an N-word. You know.
You racist bravely, my son.
You called him the O word.
You hurled slurs worthy of our ancestors.
I love I really do love it. It's just always been one of those like woke more correct things. It's like the orcs are black. It's like, yeah, we know. All right, moving on.
Next up we have Little Dice.
There's a really funny meme of this wife. Do you guys know when they like put the crosses in the ground, like on the side of the highway when somebody got killed in like a car wreck or something?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Her wife was hammering like a cross into the area, and I think Howling Mutant quote tweeted it with, "God, just really need to get that last bit of domestic violence in, didn't you?"
Just had to squeeze it in real quick.
Yeah,
I love this one. Inside you, there are 2 Theodores.
Yeah, really.
Oh my god.
That's funny.
I think me and RedHawk are the I'm in this image and I don't like it.
Yeah. Yep.
I really am neither of these people.
I'm kind of both, but anyway. So there's a monument to the suicidal hubris of modern women and their inability to discern their actual abilities versus their inflated egos.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's just like me.
She's just like me. Go, girl. I love this. Now, some of you might not get this, and I understand why. But if you get this, it's absolutely hilarious.
This guy totally looks like he used one too.
I know, right?
Man, the turtleneck is not helping you.
No, the turtleneck's not doing him any favors if he's trying to pretend
sir.
to be something he's not.
Sir, you look like a pedophile.
Do you have to spell it right to get the answer correct on Final Jeopardy?
I don't know how. I don't even know what game show that is, and I have
That's
no idea.
Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch that shit. I don't know.
No, very funny meme. Regardless,
Yeah.
I feel the same way when the same way when everyone calls it X. It's like, no, dude, it's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
It's like three fingers thing. It's like, oh, so you're not like an old head, eh?
No,
I think you should have called it Twitter X.
I think it should just be called Twitter. Like
Yeah,
one of the stupidest things I think Elon Musk has ever done is to try to brand name change Twitter. Like, you don't buy McDonald's and call it F. You don't buy Walmart and call it G.
No, you buy McDonald's and you call it Donald's.
Call it S.
You buy McDonald's and you call it N. Clearly.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't have done that. It's like if he made an N, I mean, I would use that.
That's funny.
I would buy 6 companies and call it NIGGER.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, really.
Spending your billions to make a real world corporate end tower. Okay.
Yes.
Now we're talking. All right, moving on. A man tells a rabbi, "I have a strong desire to live forever." Then gets married, says the rabbi. And that will make me live forever? No, but the desire will disappear. I love this one. Minneapolis is both breathtaking and mind-blowing.
Bro.
George Floyd.
Yep. And of course, yeah, George Floyd. That's
I
good.
can't
That's good.
George my F Floyd.
And speaking of George Floyd, we will end with the George Floyd meme. I can't drive.
What about the animated one I sent you? Have you already played that one, or was it new?
The animated one that you sent me.
Yeah. I sent you like a George Floyd animated thing.
I've looked at dozens of those. I didn't remember if you sent me one. Let's see.
Yeah, it's on Telegram. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
All right, let's see
That's
here. Is it? I had one video ready to share. Oh yeah, Floyd in the Wild. Yeah, I saw that. That's not what I have prepared to share because we can only do one video before we have to get out of here. Okay. But that is pretty good. But I chose to share. Let me pull this up here. Actually, we're a little bit ahead of schedule. We can look at more than one, but I chose this one because it is ridiculous. So let's go ahead and kill that. Go back to normal view. Give me just a second. I really wish there was a faster way to have these things preloaded, but there just isn't. It's the interface
Politicrat just arrived.
Oh Jesus, really?
Yeah, really.
He does that.
Oh my God. Well, hey, Politicrat, you're a couple hours late. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was having some internet issues. You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, man. What's up?
Test your shit beforehand.
Yeah. I can leave if you want. I just wanted to make it. I just wanted to pop in and apologize personally.
Yeah. Leave. It's fine. It's fine. You were invited. Your name's. I mean, your picture's even on the thumbnail.
Oh, really? Well, thank you.
You're invited. But no.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Doing good. We're about to watch a funny. And let me pull this up here for us. I don't know if any of you have seen this or not, but it's pretty good.
Woke up crying at about noon. Just remembered I got to protest ICE real soon. I got to yell and walk before deportations begin, before I start stealing all my friends. About to go, and I started to cry. My kids had to go to school, so I gave them a ride. Ran to the car and grabbed my tissue. I got to do something about this ICE agent issue. Change my pronouns and grab my whistle. These racist ICE agents need a quick dismissal. Jumped in the pilot, heard Trump, and I cried. I got real triggered and proceeded to cry. Then I heard AOC say, if you obstruct the agency, immigrants can stay. I saw golden caskets on my new wish list, and my kids watched me on the news and went something like this. Cruising down the street in my Honda, screaming at agents. Bring a drama. Went to the scene to block the road. My crew protesting, because that's liberal code. A car pulls up, trying to George Floyd me. A racist ICE agent asking me to leave. He rolls down his window and he started to say, get the f*** out of the car, don't make me spray. Because the libs of Democrats are brainwashed retards. I tried to block the road and I shot my car. I know nothing in life, but I found it real quick. Oh, shit, I brought my dog and my kids will be pissed.
They should have done the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme. That would have been funny too.
Oh, that would have been funny. That would have been funny. Yeah.
But also copyrighted.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot. By the way, these streams are staying up on YouTube again. I've left up the last several Discordant Dragons. Not a single problem. No strike. No warning. No nothing. So I'm just going to start leaving them up. Maybe that Susan era is over and it's safe to talk about this stuff and leave it up. So I'm leaving it up. And
the cheat hasn't noticed.
No, we'll see. But anyway,
and she does.
Welcome to the stream, late as it is. Anything you want to shill while you're here, while we have listeners?
Not really. I might get back to my channel at some point soon. I've been mostly focusing on work-related things.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, Mr. RedHawk, you are the featured guest this evening. Anything you want to shill or promote while you're here? And yes, I will be sharing the American Spirits link in the chat, like always.
Yeah. I would just shill all of the fine shows that we produce over at the OGC. American Spirits on Monday, Chapter House on Wednesday, Pony Express Radio on Thursday. Substack articles coming out multiple times a week. And everyone should just check out the oldgloryclub.com, where you guys can find local chapters in your area that you should become a member of.
Newsfist, anything you want to promote, sir?
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of stuff now. So I do Fistery on Monday nights. We're covering the Black Death at the moment, which is like crazy. I just go back and read a bunch of like primary sources. They're mental. Also streaming twice a week with Rhetorically Defective over on his channel. You can find all my links at www.newsfist.net. Buy it now. It's free.
Mr. 3 of 12, anything you'd like to promote, sir?
I would like to shill Phil's Computer Lab again, because he's just doing amazing things. Love this guy.
That's the one you promoted last week, isn't it?
No, I think I promoted Pixel Pipes last week. If I didn't,
Pixel Pipes. Okay, all right.
Shout out him too. He's fucking great.
Cool. Well, I don't have anything to promote. Perhaps in the future, I might rekindle Empire of Lies, even if Newsfist doesn't want to. But you should check out the stuff that Artie and Newsfist do. They are very fun together. They have a great comedic chemistry, and they talk about relatable content we all enjoy hearing anyway. And of course, Rhetorically Defective. If you're listening, you're more than welcome to come back to Discord at Dragons if you want to. I had a fun time when you were here. So definitely go check out American Spirits number 24 tonight. It is going to be a good one, and I will be there as soon as we are done. So it looks like we are done just a few minutes ahead of schedule. We did great. So thank you to my featured guests for being here. Late as you were, Politicrat, thank you for showing up just to say howdy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about a rain check.
Sure.
This.
And RedHawk, I know you are a very busy man, but thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come grace us with your awesomeness. Much appreciated.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to join the party and slay some dragons.
Good times. Newsfist and 3 of 12, my mates, glad you're always around, and thank you for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And like we talked about during the stream, I think that we will win. We all just have to keep pushing. We can't be quiet. We can't be complacent anymore. Network, build your own personal strength, build community strength, and we need all the hands on the boulder to get it up that hill so you can all contribute. I will be back next Monday night with more Discordant Dragons. And of course, I'll have a morning video up tomorrow on the channel. And we will see you soon. Good night and God bless everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right.